Welcome back to some new PettyRevenge stories, where people share small victories over those who wronged them. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now, let's start with the first story, shall we? It's called New Year's Off. I started a new job this year, and up until recently, I've generally been enjoying it. There's some colleagues I've bonded really well with, and I'm actually really good at what I do. I work in primary care for the NHS, UK, and patients are always telling me how helpful and how kind I am. Since I joined in January, for the first time in a really long time, I feel like I found some sort of calling. But recently, my days have become increasingly difficult. 4 months into my employment, my colleague, let's call her Trish, who trained me up, had to take some time out for a health issue. So I spent 3 months basically doing the job without her. And at times it was incredibly stressful being the only person able to perform the job. There were 1 or 2 days it was too much, and I had to run off for a small cry before getting back out there. However, I eventually ended up taking it in my stride, and thus gained praise and respect from colleagues and patients alike. But when it was said that Trish was coming back, I was relieved, because I thought it would give me a bit more breathing room. I was wrong. Trish isn't particularly well liked. She's known for being blunt to the point of cruelty, both to patients and co-workers. She's snappy and rude to pretty much everyone. She's had umpteen complaints against her, but they keep her around as she's worked there for around 20 years. When she went on leave, I didn't know her that well, but we got on well. And in spite of everyone bad-mouthing her behind her back, or making snarky comments when she went into a different room, I stood up for her. No one was particularly overjoyed she was coming back from leave, other than me. For the first few days she was back, she went straight back to trying to train me, in spite of the fact I'd been doing everything solo since her absence, which rubbed me up the wrong way a little, but I ignored it. The last time I saw her, I was still regularly asking questions, so that's fair enough. But even though she could see I was quite capable and competent, she kept talking to me like a moron. So I had to be quite blunt with her and tell her I'd been doing the job by myself perfectly well, with zero help from her or anyone. So I didn't need to be refreshed with training. This was in July. Since then, the relationship has soured somewhat. We are civil when it comes to work stuff, but outside of that, we don't really talk. Until a couple of weeks ago, I had a particularly difficult patient call up 3 days in a row, and I just needed to rant. In my head, it came under the headline of work-related. So I ranted to Trish about the patient. She agreed the patient was difficult, and I did the correct thing for them, etc. I thanked her for letting me blow off some steam about it, and went to do something else. I forgot something though, so I went back and caught Trish bad-mouthing me to 2 other colleagues, calling me soft, a whingy cow, that I just need to grow up and get on with it, etc. She was like a deer in headlights. Nothing was said between us, but the whole next day she tried to be as sweet as possible. My supervisor messaged me the other day about an extra holiday day around Christmas. Trish is on annual leave currently, so the supervisor hadn't yet asked which extra day she wanted. From previous conversations with Trish, I know she wanted to take the last few days of the year off, so she could go over to Europe and spend New Year's Eve with her family. After the way she's treated me the last 2 months, I felt like being incredibly petty, so I asked for the day I knew she wanted, and asked to use a couple of my annual leave days, as I have family commitments. I had 3 days off, total, following the weekend, which was also going to be Trish's plan. My supervisor gave them to me, so Trish won't be able to take the days off, as there won't be any cover. I also know she's already booked her hotel and flights, and she was just waiting for the supervisors to bring up the extra holidays. The next story is called Got Him a Rolex. Many moons ago, a bit over 20 years, I was an assistant manager at a Hot Topic. Our district manager lived in the area. We'll call him Jimmy. He tended to stop by our store a lot. He was fun and funny, always helped out, and everyone liked having him around. Our Hot Topic was one of the corner stores at a 4-way intersection. The other 3 corners were all jewelry stores. Jimmy came in one day with his wife and kid. They were shopping the mall for a present for his dad's birthday. Now, these people were fairly well off. Not rich, but solidly upper middle class. Although they both dress very hard punk, him and goth, her. Looking at them, you'd think they were just a cool couple in their early 30s. Jimmy goes to the jewelry store across from us, spends about 15 minutes there, then storms back into our store, all upset. His wife asks what's wrong, and he explains that the jewelry store clerk kept watching him, treating him like he was about to steal something, and started acting more suspicious when he asked for the price of more expensive watches. His wife tried to calm him down, but he was very angry, which was unusual for him. He was typically very laid back. Then, all of a sudden, he broke into a smile. It was scary how fast his mood changed. He called everyone up front. There were 4 of us, his wife and his kid, who was only maybe a year old. He gave us instructions. Then he went to the store diagonally across from us. We saw the clerk from the first store watching him as he walked over. A minute later, he went to the 3rd jewelry store, spent about 10 minutes there, then walked out with a huge smile. He gave us a thumbs up. He then walked over to the 1st store. The clerk was with a customer, but Jimmy knocked really hard on the windows. When the clerk looked up, Jimmy held up his wrist, showing off the brand new Rolex he had just bought, opened his wallet and let the plastic-covered string of credit cards roll out. He smiled a big smile, flipped off the clerk, at which moment all of us smiled, and flipped off the clerk from our store's windows. And Jimmy came whistling happily back. I got that a Rolex. Hope he likes it. The last story is called Wouldn't Reimburse Me. A year and a half ago, I was leaving a terrible relationship. I have a job and stable income, but wasn't planning on staying in the state I was staying in. So I didn't want to get a lease and root myself there for a year. On the off chance that an opportunity came up, there were several things in the air, so to speak. So I thought it would be best to rent a room in the meantime with my dog and wait it out. I found a room on Craigslist and went to tour it. It was nice. A little far, but hey, I needed something quick. I paid prorated rent for 1 month and the full rent for the next. A total of $1,400, which was already more than it should have been. But I wasn't in the position to argue that. I also paid a $500 deposit for damages. Then everything started going downhill. I moved in and things were fine for a week. Roommate and I hung out a bit and drank and enjoyed our dogs and each other's company. I would let her try foods I cooked and vice versa. Juices, snacks, dinners. I didn't mind. Until the day that my meal prep bowl went missing. I did give her one, as I knew I would be tired of it soon. But I made 5. 3 were there, 2 were gone. I asked roommate about it, and she claimed she didn't know. First red flag. Only 2 people in this home, and the dogs didn't grow arms and touch it. Then, as I'm helping my friend file her taxes for the first time, a man shows up and serves me a summons for court. He thought I was the roommate. It was for back payment of rent. She had been behind and was about to get evicted. I mentioned this, and she exclaimed, "They were supposed to take that back." So she knew. She brought someone into her situation, knowing this was going to happen. Then the water went out. She didn't pay the bill. I had to shower at work when I drove an hour to the office. She claimed the city was having issues. They weren't. Her internet was out. She didn't pay that bill either. She said it wasn't her fault. She was trying to get me to offer to pay the bill, as I needed it for work. I didn't. I opted to go to the office. She would lock my dog in my room, even after she told me it was fine for her to roam. But she didn't really want her to. That's fine. You're home. But she also broke my ceiling fan in the room. My window was broken, so I couldn't open it. And she kept the heat on. My dog was baking in 80 degrees in the house upstairs. Not cool. I told her to stop doing that. Either you lower the AC, or give her the freedom to cool off downstairs, since heat rises. Then she told me one day that the maintenance people came to check the fan and my window, and my dog scared them. As a result, she was fined $300 because she wasn't on the lease. I sent her the money. She already had 3 dogs with one not on the lease. Make it make sense. Then I started to catch on. She was gonna keep asking and try to get more money. I asked for an amended lease to prove my dog was on there now. She got defensive and said I accused her of lying. I didn't, but if it's resolved, why not send the lease? She claimed she'd asked for one, but couldn't promise anything. Finest straw was when she told me not even 20 days into the full month that she couldn't afford to live there anymore, and asked if I wanted to get our place together. I said no, I'm not putting my social on a lease with yours. So she said she had to move. She wasn't going to reimburse me my deposit or my $300 for my dog. I came downstairs to moving boxes. She was gonna jump ship without so much as an apology. I took a day off sick from work while she went to her job and moved all of my stuff and some of hers to a storage unit and got an Airbnb for a few days. I texted her that I moved out and that she had 7 days to send me my money or else. She laughed it off, not knowing. She said she had to evaluate my room for damages, knowing there weren't any, but I figured I'd give it some time, so she knew how serious I was. She got home from work and my phone started blowing up. I reiterated, 7 days and you'll have your stuff, otherwise I'm selling it. She didn't pay, so I got my money back in other means, all but $22, which I was okay with. I sold it all. I wasted my entire tax refund and then some to move. She knew she wasn't right and I was pinching pennies at this point. She threatened me with cops, but we both knew that was an empty threat. I spent 20 days in a home I paid a full month's rent for. Never again. Been on my own ever since. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.